Of powerful earthquakes. Just discovered there's an entire warehouse full of items donated following the wrath of Hurricane Maria. The cache of goods located just miles from the epicenter of the latest quake on Puerto Rico's southwest coast has been sitting there for nearly a year.
Meeting.
Diapers, baby food, sanitary wipes, bottles, and pacifiers.
Meeting.
Outside the complex, a desperate crowd cannot understand how all this help could be right in their backyard the whole time.
It's like, how can this be happening?
Rafael Gonzalez's group, Profesa, collected supplies to help Hurricane Maria victims and is now doing the same for those devastated by the earthquakes.
What is the human impact of this mistake?
We saw it on Maria. We saw what happens when you don't deliver the supplies that people need. People die.
Puerto Rico's Secretary of State saying this ruins our credibility and the humanitarian effort. The governor fired several top officials, including the director of emergency management, within the last 24 hours, and tonight vows to hold others accountable. But the ensuing investigation of little solace to those suffering, and now a puzzling oversight in the middle of a disaster zone. Sam Brock, NBC News.
In Puerto Rico, while multiple FEMA shipping containers packed with supplies for Hurricane Maria survivors are missing. 4 have been recovered across the island, and we've just learned that 2 other containers were found last night, but 6 are still missing. They're believed to be locked and full of unused supplies that were meant to help tens of thousands of people. Well, CBS News correspondent David Begnaud has been following the situation in Puerto Rico since Maria devastated the island, and he's with me now from Dallas via Skype. Okay, so this is confounding. David, you spoke to a FEMA spokesperson. What can you tell us?
So here's the deal. Let's start with what happened last night. 2 FEMA trailers were found on random private property. Apparently, it was the mayor of Utuado who initially alerted authorities a couple of days ago and said, hey, I think one of your shipping containers is here. Now, why is this all of a sudden happening? 2.5 weeks ago, there had been a report on the island by a radio station that some trailers had been found on property owned by the government. The National Guard came forward and said, oops, we should have distributed supplies in the trailers. We will. Ever since then, we picked up on it, we reported it, and it's been in the news. So what's happened is all of a sudden these FEMA trailers are now popping up around the island. So you have 3 that popped up in Utuado. The mayor called about one of them. Here's the deal, Anne-Marie. In one of the shipping containers that they were able to open in Utuado, they were filled with cots. Now, here's the catch. When FEMA delivered the trailer to the area that it was supposed to be, it didn't have cots in them. So somebody took the supplies out and then filled the trailer with cots. Here's the bottom line. Let me walk you through the process of how it worked. FEMA would have a trailer filled up with supplies. Then they would deliver it to a municipality, right? And the municipality's responsibility would be to distribute the supplies to the people there who needed it. They'd call FEMA back and say, hey, your trailer's ready. Come pick it up. 12 of them went unaccounted for, just missing. Now, FEMA says here's the context. We distributed more than 10,000 trailers. To lose only 12 of them is pretty impressive. Maybe so. But consider this. In every one of those FEMA trailers was essential supplies, cots, water, food, battery, baby products that could have been used for tens of thousands of people. Let me walk you through some of what we know. There were 3 other trailers that were found in a municipality known as Toa Alta. It was found on private property, and the man there will not give FEMA permission to come on his property. So FEMA, through their own federal protective police force that they have, security force, is going to obtain a warrant to come back on that man's property and to get their shipping containers. Every container had a transponder, a tracking device. What FEMA believes is that the batteries either died or somebody removed the tracking device, and that's why they lost them. But the bottom line is most of the containers they've not been able to open, and those they have opened didn't really contain the supplies that were originally in there when FEMA delivered them. Right before I toss it back to you, and I know you're going to have some questions, but we've confirmed that at least, so of the 3 that were found in Toa Alta, right, 1 had originally been delivered to Canovanas. Another one had originally been delivered to Humacao. Another one was delivered to the Puerto Rico Emergency Management Agency, and another one was delivered to the Puerto Rico National Guard. So how did they get from all those places to Utuado and Toa Alta? It's not easy to move those, Anne-Marie.
No, it is not. We are talking about massive containers. I think about when
Right.
I order
Corruption.
something on Amazon, how many times I have to
We're going to get to the
sign
bottom
off
of
on
this.
it so people know
Bingo.
I have received it. I presume there's a similar process here.
There is.
And so,
There is.
and I would expect that the mayors of some of these towns, the governor perhaps, is expecting these deliveries. So then, what are we hearing from the governor? What are we hearing from the mayors who might have said, oh, I thought we were going to get a trailer last week?
All right, now you're getting the real good questions. So I've been trying to get somebody from the governor's office to give me a straight answer on exactly how they're involved or what they have to say about all this. And I have not been able to get a comment from the governor's office in the last 5 days. I've called the governor's press person. I've called the chief of staff's press person. I've called the secretary of public safety's press person. And I am getting the runaround with a capital R. Okay, that's the first thing you should know. Secondly, it has been difficult to get in touch with some of these local mayors, and so we're trying to pin down exactly. But at the end of the day, it was their responsibility, the local mayor's responsibility, to receive the container, distribute the goods, then call FEMA and say, "Hey, it's ready." So were the goods stolen? Were they distributed? And
Good
the trailer
question.
was just stolen. Look, Anne-Marie, everyone is thinking, including FEMA, that these supplies were likely misused, that they weren't distributed. And you're talking about enough supplies. You're talking about tons and tons of supplies that could have been used to help upwards of, 50,000 people, maybe more than that. And remember, Anne-Marie, after the hurricane, we kept hearing water's not getting to where it needs to go. Food's not getting to where it needs to go. All this kind of stuff. Well, FEMA told me, I said, listen, what's your response? And the guy who I was on the phone with said, David, in a way, this is a little bit of us pushing back and saying, see, we delivered 12 containers to various places. What happened to them? Now, again, FEMA delivered more than 10,000. 12 out of 10,000 is, when you put it in context, not terribly shocking, but it's important. And why are they just now turning up almost a year after the hurricane?
That's a great question. And I'm thinking, okay, so there are all these different groups that could possibly
Blame
be
Trump.
involved.
Blame
There's local
Trump.
government,
Right.
The
there's
Democrats
FEMA.
said. Blame Trump.
And when you started to talk about this, the
It's
first thing I
Trump's
thought of
fault.
is this stuff
He got it
stolen,
there, and the
somebody's reselling
Democrats
it. I don't
stole
know
it.
if, some of these items have logos or if there's a way to know for sure that it
Just
came from
blame
FEMA
Trump.
and it shouldn't be sold. But I thought, if you follow the money, this really sounds fishy. So who's investigating here?
Okay, so you've got the federal security agency that is within FEMA that is now going out to get the warrant, right?
A
You've
year,
got,
2
for
years
example, in
later,
Toalta,
almost.
where the 3 containers were found on private property. You've got the municipal police that are investigating. Here's my next call when I get off with you to the FBI to find out if they're investigating, because this is important to know. Because they were FEMA containers, the property in the container is the property of the federal government.
You
Stealing
got that
would be
right.
essentially, arguably, a
Stolen
federal
by the
crime falling
Democratic
under the
Party.
jurisdiction of the FBI. These were not
Blame Trump.
donations from people. That's important. It's not like Anne-Marie Green decided to send $500 worth of supplies that wound up in a container that went missing.
Probably did the
These
same thing in
are
Katrina.
items that FEMA paid taxpayer money to fill the container that now went missing. So you're talking about federal violations involving federal property that is now being investigated by a federal agency.
Federal prison.
It is a heck of a story, David. I know you're going to make all the phone calls necessary. I'm really curious about, where these containers are. So hopefully we'll be following up with you. David Begnaud, thank you so much.
Guys, my name is Antonio Arnold. Patriots, always a pleasure. This is Drive Me Bananas. FEMA aid that was sent in 2017 for a Hurricane Maria event, and all these supplies mysteriously disappeared under the authority of many politicians, leaders, and first responders in a predominantly Puerto Rican blue Democratic held island, okay? Just like Blue Virginia by Northern Virginia standard. I don't get it. How can you lose tens of thousands of pounds of supplies? Well, somebody's going to get to the bottom of this, and I'm going to keep monitoring it. But I'm going to tell you, the whole time this was going on, a Democratic mayor, Democratic governor blamed President Trump for the mishandling, the delays, and in initiating aid to Puerto Rico. And what really pissed me off is the Democratic Congress, the House, and some members in the Senate were politicizing this event to discredit the president. Okay? Now, I have served in the Air National Guard, and I've seen FEMA working hands-on. We were first responders at every hurricane. You can rest assured I'm called up. But just to see, at this level, it's totally ridiculous. And I'm praying for all my brothers and sisters in Puerto Rico, because they have done such a super job and responding to Louisiana Hurricane Katrina, because they were there. They've done their job, and I'll tell you, they did it at textbook level above standard. And I just can't understand how leadership can be so irresponsible for misappropriation of federal, I'm not saying federal money, but federal controlled supplies, FEMA supply, which makes it federal for the people of Puerto Rico. Now, if this is happening in Puerto Rico, who could say it's not happening in Virginia, Texas, Alabama, or the next event, or even New York, another 9/11? I don't know. We don't know. But my concern is when people are placed in charge and held a fiduciary responsibility to ensure aid is received. That aid is under the control of FEMA, which is a federal agency, which is under federal law, until that aid is properly distributed to this intended location. And I'm so ashamed, my brothers and sisters, that in this country, we have people who are just as corrupted as anywhere else. There's no one above the law. And here I am. I'm 54 years old, living in the United States, living in the Commonwealth of Virginia, which just basically voted to take my rights my Second Amendment rights away, and to live in a country where you got people who care more about politics and party affiliation than being bipartisan and being about the people, for the people, by the people. I don't understand it, America. I really don't. As a service member, I am concerned of the future and of our country. As a former active pastor, I'm still a pastor in heart, but as the one who has preached the gospel, has served in leadership, I am very concerned about the constituents, how the constituents are going to be treated based on the decision of these professional politicians that have been sitting in Congress and also in the Senate, in the House and the Senate for over 35 years or more. I am concerned right here in my Commonwealth of Virginia that the people in the cities have voted overwhelmingly for these Democrats, liberals, and communists and socialists, and yet they don't realize that their rights are about to be destroyed. I don't get it. They've been hoodwinked and lied to. They're talking about landing on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock, Virginia Rock had just landed on them. The Democratic Dixie Rock has landed on Virginia. Now I'm telling you, things are not looking good. I aired my concerns a couple of days ago, and here we are. I'm a Second Amendment supporter. I'm a freedom supporter of the people. But yet the people being hooked and lied to by professional politicians who've been to law school, who are professionals, who are also attorneys, who are also study political science as a major who are pros in this game of politics and deceiving you and also manipulating you. You're being manipulated. This is pure example. This is proof that you have been manipulated and lied to. My brothers and sisters in Puerto Rico, vote for a Republican. Get somebody who's going to properly represent you. Governor, city council, I don't care. I don't care if they go to the House of Congress. You make sure you get somebody who's going to represent you and not have a political agenda. I mean, these agendas are destroying this country piece by piece, day by day, and it is getting worse. I have just about enough up to here, but I want to show you something else, America. I want to show you something else. So I'm going to pause right here. I'm going to get right back to you in just a second, but I want you to see this. If I can, I really do. I want you to see this blasphemy. Hold on for a second.
On his request to develop information, to find information.
Hey guys, welcome back. I'm sorry. I'm making some adjustments. I'm trying to connect the dots here. So thank you for watching earlier and seeing what's happening in Puerto Rico, the corruption that's taking place there. Now I'm going to show you another corruption that's taking place right in Congress, from the House to the Senate. We have the judicial system. I mean, guys, if you don't know what this is, I mean, we have a judicial system, okay? We have a executive branch, and we have a congressional branch, all, for the balance of power, not to impede more power than the other. And now, I'm seeing false accusation here of impeachment being sent against the president of the United States for frivolous reasons, as far as what I can tell, what I've been monitoring. I mean, if that'd be the case, they all are guilty, including the previous presidents. And it seems to me that this impeachment is a farce. It's not only a distraction, it's destructive, and it's a waste of money. But what I'm seeing here is a witch hunt and a coup d'etat to forcibly remove a legally elected president of the United States from power. Guys, I don't care what your opinion or how you feel about the president. I don't care about what side of the boat, whether you pro-president or not pro-president. What I do care about is the legitimacy of the office of the presidency. If Congress, the Democratic Party, forcibly remove this president from office, this will definitely put a severe impact upon the legitimacy of future presidents and put a danger to each president, knowing that at any given time they can be impeached and forced out of office. Guys, this is a coup d'etat in hand by law, by legal, and I'm telling you guys, you better watch, and you got to know your rights. Make sure you know the Constitution of the United States. Make sure you have a copy of that. Have some understanding of law. If you don't have any, as a citizen, you should know, because you want to make a proper decision on who could properly represent you. You come to hiring an attorney, because not all attorneys are good guys. Not all attorneys, they got their law license to properly interpret law. But let me tell you something, if you have a political agenda, that throws out the window. So guys, this is testimony of Ambassador Taylor and being interviewed by the Democratic Council. I mean, that's just so ridiculous. This is C-SPAN. I do not own the content, but let's just give you an idea of how this mess is. I mean, it's not the full thing, and that's the content, but I'm going to tell you something. I'm very concerned about this impeachment trial of President Trump, day 2. This is shown in Fox News. Fox News own the content. C-SPAN own the content, all these. But guys, you got to know the truth for yourself. We're approaching the end of the United States in the direction we're going. A lot of we said also we're approaching the end of time, which is the end of the time as we know it. So, and that's going to be any one of us, anytime. So please observe what's going on. I'm going to share this video. And like I said before, I am against this impeachment trial. I'm against what the money, the time, been wasted by agendas instead of focusing on the issue in reference to providing jobs, infrastructure, fair trade, very things that affects the United States and its people. And I'm telling you something, governors and politicians in general, y'all better watch yourself. And speaking of which, I gotta go. Let's just watch this video.
Information about Burisma and the Bidens. This was very well known in public.
And the Bidens are the biggest crooks.
In several
you lock him up, you better lock every last one of them,
springtime,
including Biden.
And Mr. Donaluk was aware that that was a problem.
And would you agree that because President Zelensky is worried about this, they understood at least that there was some pressure for them to pursue these investigations? Is that fair?
Mr. Donaluk indicated that President Zelensky certainly understood it, that he did not want to get involved in these type of activities.
The next day, Ambassador Taylor relayed
and you got to remember there was no real due process
concerns to Volker and Sondland. But Ambassador Sondland did not back down. Specifically, Ambassador Sondland texted in response to Ambassador Taylor's worry. Absolutely. But we need to get the conversation started.
I'm going to impeach a man over a darn phone
and
call.
The relationship build, irrespective of the pretext. Again, Ambassador Sondland had his marching orders, and he was determined to carry them out. A call between President Trump and President Zelensky was scheduled for July 25th. Before the call, President Trump spoke to Sondland and reiterated his expectation that the Ukrainian leader would commit to the investigations. Ambassador Sondland subsequently contacted Ambassadors Volker and relayed the message to him.
God help the next president.
Zelensky's top aide with President Trump's instructions. Assuming President Z convinces Trump he will investigate, get to the bottom of what happened in 2016, we will nail down the date for a visit to Washington. Senators, in other words, even before the July 25th phone call with President Zelensky, before it ever took place, Ukraine understood what it needed to initiate, that it needed to initiate the investigations into the debunked conspiracy theory about the 2016 election as a condition for President Zelensky, the newly elected Ukrainian president, to visit the White House. Ambassador Sondland testified that acting on President Trump's direct orders, he and Ambassador Volker prepped President Zelensky for the telephone call.
And you would agree that the message in this that is expressed here
it's a witch hunt.
Is that President Zelensky needs to convince Trump that he will do the investigations in order to nail down the date for a visit to Washington, D.C. Is that correct?
That's correct.
By this time, nonpartisan career officials involved with Ukraine policy had become aware of this quid pro quo. Here is what 3 of them said during their testimony. Ambassador Taylor, the meeting President Zelensky wanted was conditioned on investigations of Burisma and alleged Ukrainian influence in the 2016 elections. Ambassador David Holmes, it was made clear that some action on a Burisma-Biden investigation was a precondition for an Oval Office visit. Dr. Hill, there seems to be an awful lot of people.
Every president in the United States is guilty of
basically turning a White House
Quid
meeting
pro quo.
into some kind of asset
I'm going to show you a
that
video
was
of
dangled out
quid pro quo
to
from Obama
the
administration.
Ukrainian government. A White House visit, a visit to the Oval Office dangled out to the Ukrainian government.
Come on, let's go to the next
Senators,
one.
I ask you to think about those words as we decide, as you decide, what action you will take. Think about those words. There was no doubt the direction came from the President of the United States.
A
The
phone
President
call.
was the center of this scheme.
Hold up. We're going to. Okay, America. Now, remember we were talking about quid pro quo? Quid pro quo, however you pronounce it, is fine with me. I am not an attorney or a professional politician eating off the backs of the American people like a leech. Here's a video of another president 7 years ago who's doing the very same allegation that's being charged against President Trump. Watch this. History repeats itself, but I'm gonna tell you something. It's also about the good old boy network. They got the House, and they got the majority of the governors are, as we call Democrats, elect senators, House of Representatives by majority. And here we go. We're going to get rid of, by the will of the people, the President of the United States, Electoral College, and we're going to get rid of it. Now, let's look back. There should have been an impeachment back then. Why everybody let him slide? I don't care whether he's black or African American or Kenyan or German or American. I don't care. What I care is what's being done. It's a setup for a national disaster. So here it is. You think this is a joke?
To be a private chat on the summit sidelines, but when Barack Obama told Dmitry Medvedev he'd have more flexibility on difficult issues like missile defense after the US election, TV cameras were rolling.
My last election for you. Yeah. After my election, I have more flexibility. Yeah.
I understand. I transmit this information.
Quid pro quo, you idiot!
That is, of course, Russia's incoming President Vladimir Putin. The US leader has defended his comments ahead of the November poll, insisting they reflect a political reality that everybody understands. Obama's Republican rivals back home, though, have expressed alarm amid claims he's too open to concessions to Russia.
I'm going to play this again.
It was meant to be a private chat on the summit sidelines, but when Barack Obama told Dmitry Medvedev he'd have more flexibility on difficult issues like missile defense after the US election, TV cameras were rolling.
My last election for you. Yeah. After my election, I have more flexibility.
You don't say that.
Yeah.
I understand. I transmit this
What the
information
heck?
to Vladimir. I understand.
That is, of course, Russia's incoming President Vladimir Putin.
One more time. Let's get it right, people. Let's get it right, Democrat. Let's get it right, liberals. Let's get it right. All my family and friends who disagree with me. But yet, this man can walk on water and do no wrong. But you're going to get rid of a businessman who's pretty much straight up, say what he's going to say, mean what he's going to say, do what he's going to say. What did this man do for you? Absolutely nothing. He did nothing.
It was meant to be a private chat on the summit sidelines, but when Barack Obama told Dmitry Medvedev he'd have more flexibility on difficult issues like missile defense after the US election, TV cameras were rolling.
Defense with the potential enemy.
After my election, I have more flexibility. Yeah.
I understand.
I have more flexibility. My last election for you. Yeah.
The US election, TV cameras were rolling.
My last election, yeah. After my election, I have more flexibility.
TV cameras were rolling.
My last election, yeah. After my election, I have more flexibility. Yeah. After my election, I have more flexibility. Yeah. After my election, I have more flexibility.
I hope you guys get it.
I transmit this information to Vladimir and endangerment.
That is, of course, Russia's incoming President Vladimir Putin.
All right, guys. And he was trying to make a deal, trying to say I got more flexibility, talking indirectly to the exiting president of Medvedev. Please forgive my mispronunciation of my Russian name. Not very good in that. I tell you, I never studied political science. I'm not politically correct. But anyway, I'm a soldier. Here you're going to talk to a Russian president who's going to be leaving, and President Vladimir Putin, you're going to deliver a message to him. After this election, I have more flexibility. Won't you make a commitment now? So guys, who do you trust? Who do you love? Who do you hate? The enemy within the state who have walked on water, deceived you. And I'm telling you, you're killing the wrong man. You're shooting the wrong man, and you're shooting the wrong man. You don't want to mess with this man. That man is very smart. He's getting this country squared away. Yeah, I mean, industry has returned. People are getting jobs, infrastructure. All his campaign promises he kept. Obama kept only one campaign promise, and it's called inclusion, equality, diversity. That's it. Can care less. Ask the guy who's reading to your children in a public library. They love to dress like women because they are women, right? Anyway, guys, we're living in trouble in a dangerous age. We're living in the time that we know it, and things are not good. And then I could talk all day about that, but I just want to talk about this particular right here statement.
And I transmit this information to Vladimir.
I feel real good about this.
And my last election, yeah.
This is my last election. After my election, I will have more flexibility.
And I transmit this information.
So, guys, God bless you. And I'm going to take you right back to this impeachment hearing so you can enjoy it. And operated by NBC News Special Report, House Manager Representative Jeffrey, a Democrat in New York. I wonder how deep his pockets are. But anyway, guys, I'm going to play this video. But I already shared you the video of President Obama. He has never been impeached, walked on water. He's the savior of the body of America. Everybody loves him. He fulfilled one promise, and that's about it. This guy fulfilled a lot. So, say what you want. That's just my belief. You have your right to your belief. That's why I put this uniform on for twice, 2 terms. And receive my rewards. But guys, this is, if you're just question, out of the 8 years under the Obama administration, how did your life change? What impact did he make in your life? What kind of impact? Well, he put me out of work. I already know that part. Well, but by the way, my income dropped under his administration. And he hadn't done nothing for me. I ain't got my 25 BMWs and 30 acres of mule and 30 acres or an apology. For the 1600s to 1865. Give me a break. But anyway, let's go back to our show. And I'm just going to play one more clip of this witch hunt. Get rid of the president. Sponge him from power. And what I see here is the end of the United States. So here we go. If I can play the play button.
Visit the United States, specifically Washington, D.C. On the other hand, I also wanted to ensure that we will be very serious about the case and will work on the investigation. As all of you know,
Hold up, everybody. I got to say this real quick. Now, if you take notice, and those who are in the upper echelons of government, who have a higher security clearance, there's a lot of truth that's been expunged from this testimony because of the level of security, national security that's involved in this. So everything is not being disclosed, okay? Even if the truth honorate the president, it is not going to be disclosed because of the national security. So unless you have a top secret security clearance or above the top secret security clearance and it needs to know, you're not going to get the full scope of what's really happened, okay? I just want to share that with you because right now you're just getting, how others interpret it, how they interpret those who have access. And, there's some Congress who don't have access to that kind of information. So, truth be told, be careful what you hear. Not everything is true. Not everything is in front of you. This is definitely an embarrassment and a tragedy of our nation. Back to the program.
Here in this distinguished body, quid pro quo is a Latin term.
Quid pro quo, what you gonna do for me?
It means this for that.
What you gonna do for me? You do it all the time.
Statement.
All of you.
That I just read.
Do this for me and I'll do this for you.
President Zelensky fully understood at the time of this July 25th call that if he yielded to President Trump's demand for phony investigations, he would get the White House meeting in the Oval Office.
And look what Obama did.
Sought.
Same day, almost.
For that. President Trump has repeatedly insisted that his July 25th conversation with President Zelensky was a perfect call. His staff at the White House apparently believed otherwise. The press office issued a short and incomplete summary of the July 25th call. Let me read it for your hearing. Today, President Donald J. Trump spoke by telephone with President Vladimir Zelensky of Ukraine.
Could have done the same thing.
Congratulate
with Trump
him on his recent.
The Senate will be in order. The Sergeant at Arms will restore order in the gallery.
Somebody spoke up.
And the scripture says, for the Lord loves justice and will not abandon his faithful ones.
You're going to quote a scripture. What's reference to?
Official White House call readout, July 25th, 2019. Today, President Donald J. Trump spoke by telephone with President Vladimir Zelensky of Ukraine to congratulate him on his recent election. President Trump and President Zelensky discussed ways to strengthen the relationship between the United States and Ukraine, including energy and economic cooperation. Both leaders also expressed that they look forward to the opportunity to meet. That is the official White House call readout dated July 25th, 2019. The official readout provided to the American people omitted key elements of the president's conversation. Let's review. The official readout did not mention the phony investigations requested by President Trump. The official readout did not mention the Oval Office meeting sought by President Zelensky. The official readout did not mention President Trump's elevation of a debunked conspiracy theory promoted by Vladimir Putin about 2016 election interference. The official readout did not mention President
All right, I'm going to stop right
Vladimir
there.
Zelensky of Ukraine.
If I can find my pause button. Guys, this is a farce. A conversation over the phone that's been wiretapped to be used against the President of the United States. That goes to show that anything you say or do can be used against you in court of law. Your conversation, your YouTube, my YouTube, any conversation you have can be recorded and used against you politically. We're living in a dangerous time, ladies and gentlemen. It's the same thing that happened with Nixon. It's the same thing that happened to Kennedy. Guys, pro quo, however they call it, what you're going to do for me, I'll do this for you. You know, I just shared with you a video of Obama doing the same thing. Oh, it's not the same thing. Quid pro quo is the same thing. However, there will be no punishment for him. He did his 2 terms, and there's no impeachment trial. So everybody missed that opportunity. Thomas Jefferson Clinton, Bill Clinton, had abuse of power and was not indicted. They acquitted him. And guess what? Because of his impeachment, I believe in my hearts of hearts that Trump's going to be acquitted. It's going to be a shock to a lot of people, but I can see it, right? They're allowing this rat race to go on, which is an embarrassment to our nation. And I know a lot of folks like, what the heck, the indignation I'm saying. But if you look at this thing from a theologian, philosopher, thinker approach, good listening, I can see a failure when I see it. This whole trial is a joke. This trial has no proper representation. It has no witnesses. I see a one side of witnessing as if this is Soviet Union. This whole thing is just set up just like, I mean, it's like a communist state. The whole house, the House of Representatives, was acting like a socialist dictatorship. And then they're going to walk over to the Senate like, we got him. There's no cross-examination. There was no trial on that side. There was no witnesses to rebuttal. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but that makes sense to me. What? What if this president was indicted by false accusations? And they removed not just him, Pence, and everybody else. This country will be ruled by a dictatorship with no checks and balance under a socialist government of the Democratic Party. And I don't want that. And I'm quite sure personally these guys are great, but guys, we got to leave things as it is. You don't do that. One-sided party after this one man. At least in Clinton's time and even in Johnson's time, there was bilateral agreement between individual parties who said, well, we agree to impeach. Not just a whole Democrat, not just a whole Republican side. It was a mix of people from their party. So it wasn't really a one-sided, big push, united party by one party solution to get rid of an individual. So I say that to say this, guys. Be careful what you ask for. Because the Soviet Union, after the Bolshevik Revolution, this, which led to the Soviet Union, was like this. A lot of Bolsheviks who done what they believed is right to do to get rid of the monarchy in Russia because the people weren't getting what they need. The poor wasn't represented. It was being a serfdom, so you got me who was really poor. And then they got into power, and guess what? The Soviets kicked them out and sent them to the gulags in Siberia. Don't believe me? Read it for yourself. Do the research. Do the research. That's exactly what happened. And then you got the big purge of people being murdered by the thousand. You thought Hitler was the only one. Joseph Stalin killed millions of people, Jews, Christians, aristocrats, people who are political enemies to him, people who are the Bolsheviks. He got rid of them. And we're on our way into a legalized Bolshevik revolution. And guess what? All this thing about Ukraine and Russia, we're becoming Russia. We're becoming the Soviet Union. My father told me back in the 80s, we're going to become like Russia, and Russia going to become like the United States. And when I thought about that, I'm thinking, well, I see transparent now, I'm ready to move to Russia. I'll probably be the one, a few men of color, but it's better than what I'm seeing transpire right now. Everything is one-sided, even on social media. There's no dialogue. It's just a one-sided, we speak as one, like a Borg. It's like, because you're black, you gotta be Democrat. That is not true. And there's hundreds and thousands of us who are pro-Trump. There are hundreds and thousands of us who are Republicans who do not agree with this mess. I was a diehard Democrat until I woke up and saw the drank some coffee, and got my head clear and came out of the board. I came out of the matrix. Man, listen to a one-sided conversation until you travel in the world and see things from a different platform. You see things different. I was blessed to see it. And I brought my wife out of that mess. And I brought my brother sees a little differently too, because of his experience. So if you haven't been nowhere and you never left your city, of course you're going to believe a one-sided politician who's going to put you in chains and put you in mental bondage and say, this is it, we're going to give you soup for breakfast. And instead of giving you soup, he's giving you the bone. So guys, it's time to wake up. Watch this impeachment trial witch hunt carefully. Time is repeating itself. All my fellow historians, watch carefully. I can pretty much tell you, for one, I don't believe Donald Trump's going to be indicted. And if he was indicted, it's going to be such a major split in this country like you've never seen before, because that's why all these governors across the nation are implementing severe gun control to take your weapons and have search and seizure, which is a violation of the Constitution and also a violation of the Second Amendment of the Constitution. Once they achieve those two goals, then the First Amendment goes. Then who's to say that we can't take the 14th and the 16th, 15th, 16th, and 18th Amendment away? It's time to wake up, brothers and sisters. It's time to think for yourself. Think for yourself. Stop watching propaganda television so much. Read a book. Read history. Watch and observe. Stop listening to these so-called politically science-motivated agenda individuals. Watch the facts. Let the facts transpire. Get the document somehow and read it carefully. Get the manuscript. Because I'm telling you, you're being hooked, winked, and lied to. Be careful. So guys, I'm just going to stop right there. I said my piece. This Bolshevik revolution of impeachment is going to turn this country upside down. I don't want to go to Alaska prison. It's cold. I don't want to go nowhere near Canada. It's cold. I don't want to be punished by being sent to the gulag. And if you don't know what a gulag is, look it up. If you want to see something else that's hot and just as bad as a gulag, go to Cuban prison, where everybody is equal under the government of Castro. That's why everybody trying to come to the United States. That's why we got borders. We need border protection so people can be properly streamlined, not pull your fence. If that be the case, everybody close open your doors. Open your doors, turn off your alarm, and let whoever wants to move in, take you upstairs, downstairs, and whatever, and kick you out. Shocked to see a black man like myself speak this way, because I'm a free thinker. Not brainwashed, just out of the matrix. Was brainwashed, but I'm a free man with a free will who knows. So I don't know everything, but I know enough. Guys, please be careful and watch the direction, the falling direction of this empire is heading to once this man gets indicted. And I hope he don't. All right? I'm enjoying my life, and I hate to be on a run. I hate to see what's going to happen to where I'm going to have to, be on a run as a free man. Because I don't want to go back and repeat history. And the history is dead. All those people who committed sins for the last 200 years or more are dead. Can't bring them back. But you can do something about your future. For your grandchildren, your children's children, and great-grandchildren. Where they can prosper. Well, guys, I got to go. I thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening to me, hearing me out. I love you. I love this country. I'm an American. I am born here. That makes me a native. Get it right. I'm a soldier, airman. I served in civil service, and I have pastored a church. That's enough to give you my credentials right there. Plus, I've been a hospital chaplain. Bam. So, God bless you. Love you. And may God bless America.